This poem is called Mr. Rogers' Finnick. I thought of this idea when I was misspelling the word neighbor for the 5,000th time in my life, and thought about Mr. Rogers and the young guests who come to his studio. Mr. Rogers' Finnick. Mr. Rogers wants you to be yourself. Be safe. Be self-safe. But Mr. Rogers has one finnick that thwarts the 3- and 4-year-old rule followers and order seekers who throng his studio door. Mr. Rogers wants to be your neighbor. If you spell neighbor with the vexum vowels right, you can join the circle on the rug. If not, back in tears to the parents' waiting room. Years later, the former toddlers master the maxim, I before E, except after C. They realize Mr. Rogers maintains the pristine purity of his imaginary world with an exception to the exception. Mr. Rogers is not a degenerate, not a predator. He is the gentle soul he portrays on camera. But for every star-struck, starry-eyed toddler enthralled by his self-safe, a heartbroken toddler retraces the route to the parking lot, baffled by rejection. Mr. Rogers testified to Congress in '69. If he wasn't a caprice-crazed stickler, he could have pleaded for phonetic spelling, Naybor, or he could have dodged the spelling cops and invited kids in his own imaginary self-safe space to be his P.A.